Hi everyone, welcome to K8MRD Radio Stuff. My name is Mike, call sign K8MRD. Guys, we have looked at a few antenna analyzers on the channel in the past. I love them all. I'm an antenna nerd, but I've just found, I think, the smoking gun, my absolute favorite antenna analyzer for what I do, which is primarily portable. Guys, we got the RigExpert Stick Pro antenna analyzer. Now, why is this thing so cool? Well, one, look at how small this thing is. We just reviewed the RigExpert Zoom a few months ago, and I love that analyzer. But I'm out in the field all the time. I want things small and compact. This is small and compact. It's got an internal 18650 battery that's rechargeable. It's got Bluetooth so you can hook it up to your phone. It's got computer connectivity for Mac. Thank you, RigExpert. Oh my gosh, everyone ignores Mac. I've just been playing with software on the back and I'm really, really happy. But it's also available for Windows and Linux too. 0.1 megahertz to 600 megahertz. It retails for $389. That is $10 less than the other analyzer that I use, which is the MFJ223. This is on loan from Gigaparts. Thank you, everyone at Gigaparts, for allowing us to play with this. I have to send it back, but I can already tell you guys, I am going to be saving my pennies for this analyzer. There's also going to be a 5% off link in the description for anyone that's interested in purchasing this or any other RigExpert product. Do follow the special link in the description if you're interested in buying one of these RigExpert antenna analyzers from Gigaparts. Let's dive in. I'm going to show you what we can do with this analyzer on the screen itself. I'm going to show you the app that's available for iOS and Android, and I'm going to show you the software on the computer, and I'll show you some things that I don't even know about because these things are way over my head. These are designed, like RigExpert is like a professional antenna analyzer company that does things way beyond the scope of amateur radio, like, you know, commercial radios, and I'm sure they get into military and all that stuff. Like they're the cream of the crop when it comes to antenna analyzers, and to just be able to play with these things, I don't get to keep it, I have to send it back, but it's thrilling to me. So, and to be able to share it with you guys, I love it. So anyway, let's dive in and take a look at the RigExpert Stick Pro. And just real quick, here's what you get in the box. Obviously, we're gonna get our antenna analyzer. We get a little lanyard to throw around your neck, with a little keychain thing to attach it. There's a little portion here that when the USB plug isn't in, you can attach that to there. And you get a USB to USB-C cable for charging or hooking up to your computer. You get an N connector to SO239 adapter. And what I thought was kind of a lackluster manual actually kind of tells you all the basics that you need to use the analyzer. So there is a bigger menu that you can download on the RigExpert website, but this is really enough to get you started. Now, full disclosure, some of these functions that this analyzer is capable of is completely beyond my area of expertise, and I say that very loosely. So I will show you some of the functions, but I certainly can't explain all of them. If you know what they are, then you'll see that it has it, and just know that. Now let's dive right in. First, to turn this on, we're simply going to hit the square button. We're going to long press that, and on she comes. And I'm going to connect my antenna. I'm connected to an off-center fed dipole that should be resonant on 40, 20, 10, and 6. I know it's not. I need to do a little bit of trimming, but that's why we have analyzers. So looking at this home screen, the first couple things at the very top, we can see we've got a Bluetooth icon and a battery indicator. If a USB is plugged in, there's also going to be a USB indicator up there to let you know that it's connected. And we have a few different pages on this home screen. Now, if we push this square button, you can see right now it says Sheet. We can go to Tools, and we can also go to Cable, and then back to Sheet. We can adjust our settings if we long press the play button. We can see we've got 13 different menus, which we can use the left and right arrows. So a lot of these are just going to be, so single parameter at a single frequency, multi. A lot of these are just going to be what we can access just by the main screen here. But if we just go to this adjust user settings by hitting play, we're going to have 12 different menus. Now the first one is the language, so we can select which language we want, either English or I believe that's probably Japanese. You can turn our Bluetooth on or off. We can change the color of the screen. So we've got dark lime, dark yellow. That changes the backlight to white, and then all of the little buttons are blue, kind of hard to see. That changes them red and a light orange. I actually prefer it on the red, but for video's sake, it looks better with either the yellow or the dark lime, so we'll leave it at that. We've got metric and imperial, timeout timer, and our ITU regions 1, 2, and 3. So make sure you set these. Band search normal and deep. I'm not sure what this is, but let's leave it on deep for now. Your calibration, you can either calibrate it or leave it off. Your system impedance, your cable velocity factor, here's where you can change that, and your factory reset, and clear slots. There's memories in here, so you can clear those out if you like. And back to language. Now for what I primarily use this for, we've got 4 different ways of looking at our SWR. We've got single, multi, ham, and free. So very briefly I'll go through those. So if we, these buttons here are going to correspond with where they are. So single is the minus button, so if we hit that, we can see we're just going to get a quick snapshot of our SWR at, right now we're at 7.175. We're getting an SWR of 2.3 and a return loss of 8.11 dB. And we can use the plus and minus arrows to change our frequency. Now this is only going to do it in bigger steps. If we want to actually choose what frequency, we can long press the play button here. We can hit play again and set frequency. And here is where, so maybe I want to be on 14 megahertz. So I can change this to whatever I want. So let's say I want it at 14.175. We can change that and then hit play. And now we're looking at 20 meters. While we're in this mode, we can also hit the right or left arrow. You can see we have 1 out of 5 menus. So now we're going to look at our R and X and our inductance and capacitance, as well as our impedance there. And then parallel mode, not really sure what that is, and also mag, I don't know what some of these functions are, but there they are. Multi this is really cool. This is just going to scan every ham band. It's going to ignore anything with an SWR of 3 or higher, and it's going to bring back our readings for everything that this antenna is resonant on, or less than 3.0 to 1 SWR. So you can see we get 1 star. I need to tune my antenna a little bit. It's stretched over the years. We're at 1.85 to 1 SWR at 7.001 megahertz. So that gives it a 1 star rating. And these are just stars that RigExpert came up with. So we can click the next arrow. So we've got 8 different bands that this found that was less than 3.0 to 1. So the next is 20. We're 1.4 SWR at 14.147. At actually 11 meters we could work on this. So you CB guys, that's neat that this actually picked up 11 meters. 10 meters we're good on. 6 meters, 2 meters, 1.25 meters, actually pretty good on 1.25 meters. And 70 centimeters. Now I suspect some of that is because I'm going through about 150 feet of RG8X coax right now. So there's probably a bit of losses. So I suspect these higher frequencies are not accurate at all. It's just thinking it is because most of this is getting eaten up by the coax. So let's say I want to take a look at 40 meters. Well, if we hit the plus or minus, now it's going to do an SWR plot. And you can see these bars on either side. Those are outside the ham band, so the center is the ham band. And this will give us just a quick graphical representation of what our SWR looks like. Now this ham band is just going to cycle through the bands and show us a real quick graphical representation. So so there's 40. Now I can look at 30 really quick. Not resonant there. Here's all of 20. Now let's say I want to jump a little bit deeper in this. If we hit the plus button, now it's going to go into the frequency mode, but notice we're at plus or minus 10 megahertz. So that's plus or minus 10 megahertz of 14.175. So we can actually decrease this. So let's say I only want 250 kilohertz on either side of that. So we've just zoomed in a bit there and go all the way down to 50 kilohertz of our center frequency. So that's very nice to look at. And again, we can set the center frequency by long pressing the play button, press it again, and maybe I want to look at 14075 around the FT8 portion. So we can take a look at it there. And we can get to what we were just looking at by pressing free. And now you can see we're on 14075. Let's say I want to look at maybe 7 megahertz. So let's say I want 7.074. Maybe we're having an FT8 contest, the FT8 off. So what do I look like on 7.074? So we're at 5 megahertz either side. So let's zoom in a little bit. Let's get right down to 50 kilohertz. So my antenna is not the greatest on 40 meters, but what's happening here, you can see the SWR is 2.0 at this marker here. The lowest it found, you can see these little dashes on the side, is 1.9. So there's two different readings that you're getting from this analyzer in this view. Moving on to the next screen, if we press this square button, now we get into tools, and we've got a few different things we can look at here. Bound is kind of an interesting thing. What this does that I can ascertain is basically you're going to set, let's see, how do we do this? Hit the arrow. You're going to set a SWR limit, essentially, so let's just say 1.5, or a return loss limit. And what's going to happen, and you can set your frequency there, and what happens is if you're scanning the bands or scanning whatever your frequency, everything looks normal now. But once we start to go up in frequency, my antenna gets a little bit higher. So once we get over 1.5 SWR, see how that turned red? It's just going to give us a visual indicator. Okay, we've gone above our determined threshold for what is an acceptable SWR. So just kind of a visual indicator there that I thought was neat. Probably not something I'm going to use very often, but it's there. Here we have our TDR, and here's kind of where I'm not too familiar with what these functions do, but I'll go ahead and run it and show you anyway. So that's what we get. Not sure if I did anything right. Those of you who are into the time domain reflectometer, there it is. We've got R and X here. Now we've got this is scanning 10 megahertz plus or minus, so we can zoom in a bit more. Let's go to 250 kilohertz there, so you can see your resistance and reactance there. And then we have our return loss. And again, we're at 10 megahertz, so we can zoom in there. I wish it would just stay at whatever you set it at, but not a big deal. We push a couple buttons. So here you can see we get two different measurements at 14.330, we're 13.7, and at the marker there, we're 15.5 dB there. And then hitting the square button again here, we get some other things that I'm not too sure about. This stub T, stub tuner. I don't know what any of this stuff does. This is beyond the scope of my intelligence, but that's what that does. Then we have, I'll skip this one for a second. We've got our cable impedance. So here we can check, we got to put an open and short on here, which I don't have, but that's how you would test that. We've got our cable loss, and again, you got to do an open and short on that. And then we can also do a cable length, which this is a cool feature. Now, it's important to know our velocity factor, because I'm using RG8X, which has a velocity factor of 82. So let's put in 82, and I'll just run that again. And this is about a 39-foot length of coax, just a little jumper that I'm using here, little jumper. So we can see how long our coax is, so that's neat. And then back to cable. So now let's hop on the phone and show you the app that you can download for iOS or Android. So we're gonna open our folder and go to AntScope here. That'll open that up and see it's finding devices right now, and there should be a Bluetooth Connect thing once we hit connect. And you can see that BLE there. So now, using this app, we have an SWR chart, which looks like this. We got a Smith chart, nothing's in there yet. All parameters, we can see that. TDR chart, and we can go into settings here. And so I'm gonna go 13,950 to 14,400, and let's scan, say, 200 points. Why not? Let's get a little bit better look at it. And I'm just going to go to SWR chart and let's hit start. So now it's scanning 200 points. And here is a nice graphical look at our antenna. And if we touch it, we can use this bar to scroll around and take a look at where our antenna is at. So at 14 megahertz, we're 1.49 SWR. Towards the middle, we get to about 1.42, a little bit less, 1.41. So I got a little bit of tweaking to do on this antenna. Not bad by any means, but if we look at 40 meters, so let's just go like 6950 to 7350, why not? And touch that center frequency to do that. Hit start. You can see 40 meters, not so good on my antenna. I need to shorten it quite a bit because it's resonant way the heck down out of band. But that's a look at that. Let's take a look at a Smith chart real quick. Same parameters we'll use. Scanning 200 points. There's a look at your Smith chart. So pretty cool that you can use your phone out in the field or in your house or wherever to get these great results without having to hold this thing, be tethered to it. You know, you can just leave this laying on the table and go out, make your cuts, do whatever you need. And so long as you're in distance of the Bluetooth signal, you can go ahead and reanalyze your antenna. So like that alone, just not being tethered to this, you know, is just so fantastic. I love having the Bluetooth capabilities of this RigExperts. So let's take a look at the software now. We can download this by going to the RigExpert website, clicking on downloads, and over here we're going to get AntScope 2, and we can download that for Windows, Mac OS, or Ubuntu, maybe, is that how you say that? And you can also download them from Gigapart's website. If you click on this includes portion here, here's the software, and for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and there's also a flash tool for uploading any firmware for the rig stick itself, and that is also available for Mac or Windows. Getting to the software itself, it looks like this. So right now it's set for 100 Hertz to 600,000 Hertz, and we can change this, but let's go into settings really quick because we can change a couple things. Here you can change your light and your dark theme. You can change imperial or metric. There's not really much to fuss with in here, but this show band name, I want to click that, and then we're going to close that, and now we can see all the different band names. I don't need this wide, so I've got my multi-banded antenna. So let's say I want to sweep between 6,900 and let's say 54,000 Hertz. And I am going to, let's say, let's do 500 points of scanning for now. We'll hit single scan and we're off to the races. And now we're done. So now we can see all of the different areas where my antenna is resonant. So down here on the 40 meter band, we can see we're actually not too good. I need to shorten this antenna up a little bit. Here on 20 meters, we're looking pretty good. Not so much on 15 or 12 or any of the other ones, but then 10 where it's supposed to be resonant, we're good. And then up to 6 meters, we're good as well. So that's awesome. We can increase the points here just to show you. It goes up to 2,000, so we can scan that. And basically what's going to happen is it's going to give you a higher resolution. So you can see 50.043, and then one more over is 50.137. Well, once we scan this full range, that's going to give us a lot better plot points, so we can really zero in on all the frequencies that we're interested in. Now it's going to scan a lot slower, as you can see. But when this is done, I'll show you that same 50 megahertz. Okay, now that's done. Now really quick, here on the bottom right, we can see every time we scan this, it saves this. So I'm gonna uncheck this really quick. I only wanna see this second scan of the 2,000 points, but now as we look in, we can see if this, I don't know why it does this. I don't understand this program. It's a little wonky. Sometimes this box shows up. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the numbers show up on these crosshairs. Sometimes they don't. So you just got to click around. But anyway, we can see we're getting a lot more points of interest here. Just a little bit better resolution now that we've got 2,000 points versus the 500 initially. So, and if we want to just focus on one band, let's say I want to focus on the 40 meter band, we can change this. Let's go to 7,400, let's say, just a little below and a little above. And I don't want 1,000 points. Let's just do 100 points there, and we'll rescan this. And there's the 40 meter band, and that's what it looks like. And we can check our phase and all these other fancy things here that I don't know what they mean, but to smart people, you've got all this stuff too. So just a real quick look at this software. This is really nice to have. I see myself using this a lot if I owned this analyzer. This is really helpful stuff. You can mark plots here. Yeah, it's just really cool. Not sure what all this stuff is for, but yeah, way more advanced than any other antenna analyzer on the market, that's for sure. Well, that's it, friends. Just wanted to show this analyzer and what it can do. I love the functionality of this. You've got it in hand, you've got it on your phone, you've got it on your computer, and it works for Mac. I love it, I love it, I love it. Oh man, the battery lasts a very long time too. I've not needed to recharge this at all, and I've had it on. I've been playing with some antennas the last few days, and yeah, just really, really awesome. So anyway, guys, if you have questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try and ask them as best I can. Thank you to Gigaparts for letting us borrow this. Do follow the 5% off link if you're interested in purchasing one of these. It's in the description below. Make sure you click on that. Save a few bucks. And yeah, that's about all I got, guys. Thanks so much for watching another episode of K8MRD Radio Stuff, and we'll see you later. 73, guys.